In our opening heat of Robot Wars The German Struggles, Matilda turned Torgrim into a sore thing. Junkyard Queen lost its place on the throne, with Son of Armageddon proceeding through to the grand final as a result. And Tyke joined it, as Golum was flung by the arena floor flipper. Two more will join them in Heat B of Robot Wars The German Struggles.
Action, Spannung und feurige Stunts, denn das hier ist Robot Wars. Und hier kommt der Master of Disaster, unser Moderator Jürgen Turkot. Und hier die Kandidaten in der Gruppe B der German Wars.
And in today's episode we'll be splitting our 6 robots up into 2 group battles, with 2 making it through from each. In the first, Tsunami will face Black Hole and Absolut Krankhaft, then Delldog goes against Hydrotech and Not Perfect.
Aus Regensburg in Bayern, Tsunami.
And out first, Tsunami, a wedge-shaped flipper weighing 90 kilograms, so a little lighter than the rest of the pack, but still very powerful in that flipper, and they say they have the speed of a tidal wave.
Aus Hengelo in den Niederlanden, Absolut Krankhaft.
And Absolut Krankhaft, that translates to absolutely nauseating. So now you know. The team used to call their robot Arena Killer, but they couldn't get rid of the A and K on the side of the robot, so they've had to go with this.
Aus Dachau in Bayern, Black Hole.
And Black Hole with the menacing face on the front and 2 very powerful vertical spinning discs for weaponry on this bi-wedge design. Absolutely frightening.
Roboteers, stand by.
Team Tsunami, Eric, Joachim and Thomas here. And then Black Hole and Absolut Krankhaft together. Sergeant Bash is in the arena for this one. And Sir Kill-A-Lot, he owns the arena.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
And Absolut Krankhaft starting in between its 2 menacing opponents, and that has already not worked out for them. Flipped right over.
Well, that's one way to draw attention to yourself, and Absolut Krankhaft seeming rather limp in its attempt to self-right there as we see the initial lift over. And Team Tsunami happy with their early job. So much so that yes, they are going to flip it again and back over.
Giving a second chance at life for Absolut Krankhaft, saying, yeah, I know you had a bit of a bad start to this fight, you can try it again. And violently spinning near the pit, but right up onto Tsunami's wedge, and over they go, onto the pit release button, and now we'll really have to see if Absolut Krankhaft can self-right.
Yeah, I think Team Tsunami were giving them a bit of a reprieve in the first one, but surely they won't be kind enough to do it again.
Oh, Black Hole certainly being unkind, coming in with their discs to rip into Absolut Krankhaft and causing some damage there, and we can see they're trying to prop themselves back over, but not getting very far. Defeated by an impressive pincer attack from both Tsunami and Black Hole, and both of those robots look very promising. Even Absolut Krankhaft, you know, I feel as though that probably could have done okay in the previous episode, given the caliber we're used to, but they are being counted out now.
Yep, certainly is that way. Just a bit of an awkward design, really, to right itself with that amount of limited flipper power. And there is the count out complete. The 2 victors arcing around each other rather casually, and the crowd want more punishment for the beaten Absolut Krankhaft.
Absolut Krankhaft, I think that describes it very well, unfortunately. And Sir Kill-A-Lot carrying it around the arena, as we know the house robots like to do with a beaten opponent. He seems to be heading for the floor flipper there.
Oh dear. Well, this is one way to get yourself back on your wheels and maybe off them and back on them and off them again. And there it goes exactly with a roly-poly into Sergeant Bash's pincer. How rude of you.
I mean, even if poor old Absolut Krankhaft had landed on its wheels, at this point we're seeing smoke coming out of the bottom of the machine, one of their wheels clearly not spinning. I don't think it would have helped them in any case. So Killalot is going to get rid of them for good, drop them in the pit, and they can finally go and have some repairs. Too bad there's no competition left for them though. Absolut Krankhaft heading home, Tsunami and Black Hole cleanly through. Next up, Dell Dog, Not Perfect, and Hydrotech.
Aus Wohlen in der Schweiz. Hydrotec.
Hydrotech, the only robot in the competition to represent Switzerland. It's got 2 powerful weapons, including a large lifting mechanism and a hammer coming over as well.
Aus Hamburg im Saarland. Delldog.
It doesn't look like any kind of dog I know, but Delldog is an invertible round machine armed with a rim spinner for 360 degrees of offense and defense.
Aus Bruckberg in Bayern. Not perfect.
Not perfect, but damn close. Those are the words on the bottom of the robot, not my own. I think the lawnmower blade on the front leaves a lot to be desired, but it's got good traction and it's invertible.
Roboteers, stand by.
So, the Dell Dog team joined by the Cutler family of Not Perfect. And the Hydrotech boys for the Swiss. Well, looks like Dell Dog. Yeah, it's being called over here by Derek Foxwell, who is our senior technical consultant. And he must have spotted something that he's not happy with here. And as what will always happen in situations like this, safety is the main objective. So the removable link will be taken out of the machine here. And this is a mandatory feature of every robot, which when removed, makes the machine disabled, not able to operate. And it allows people to carry out maintenance like we're seeing here in a safe fashion. Whatever it is that's wrong with Delldog, it looks to have now been sorted, so hopefully it's fighting fit. So Killalot, well, his lance doesn't seem to be fighting fit, but he is. And Matilda, when isn't she fighting fit?
3, 2, 1. Activate.
And so we got Not Perfect immediately chasing down Delldog and pressing the pit release button immediately to open the pit.
I think you can see why they'd go for the machine that seemed to be having visible problems with itself, but its rim spinner is working here. Or, well, is the rest of the machine now? It seems to have gone for a bit of a sleep suddenly. Again it goes off, and now it's smoking. It's all going off here.
I don't think they can see where they're going, and down into the pit they go! And that is the trouble with a round robot, I suppose. You can't see which way is forwards. Well, that was a very quick battle. We've already got Not Perfect and Hydrotech swimming through.
Oh yes, and here is the replay. Certainly don't know which way forwards was, but that was the way down for Delldog.
I don't think the pit had even finished descending at that point.
No. Dear, dear. What a terrible, terrible opening spell for them as the victors go through with not much of a sweat again.
I think she's got a carnival to get to.
Haven't we all?
Und wir werfen einen Blick aufs Battleboard.
And Delldog will fall in the first round alongside Absolut Krankhaft, which means we have our 4 semi-finalists, so let's see how they match up. We're going to be seeing Black Hole taking on Hydrotech first of all, and following that will be Tsunami versus Not Perfect. But before we can do even that, you may recall in the previous episode we saw the story of how Ansgar became the domestic German champion, but what we haven't touched upon is the conclusion to that story. They also represented Germany in the World Championship over in the UK series of Robot Wars in 2001. So let's see how they did.
Und bei dieser Weltmeisterschaft war auch ein anderer alter Bekannter. Aus Großbritannien, Chaos 2.
Their first opponent, Chaos 2, no mean feat, it's twice a UK Robot Wars champion. They're slightly light at 85 kilograms, but that flipper is extremely powerful.
Aus den USA, Manta.
And Manta from the USA, the quickest robot in the field and also armed with a powerful vertically spinning disc at the front. They're extremely hard to get underneath as well.
Aus Italien, Mastiff.
And Mastiff, the Italian dog of war, a very steep wedge armed with a flipper in the centre. They're quick across the arena floor, but those wheels are very exposed.
Aus Deutschland, Ansgar.
And of course we see the German hopes in Ansgar. They've replaced their flipping weapon for a reciprocating lance to do more damage in this three-way melee. Riding the flag.
Roboteers, stand by.
And in the arena for this international affair, we have Sekillalot, Mr. Worldwide. And Sergeant Bash with the flamethrower and the claws, hoping to light up this one.
3, 2, 1, activate.
So we'll want to keep an eye on the German hopes in Ansgar, battered by Manta straight away, and Mastiff has been thrown over by Chaos 2.
Yes, both machines getting picked on there in some form. It was Ansgar being clattered by one machine in Manta. And here it is now as Chaos 2 chuck Mastiff in the CPZ. Here they are, and flipped is Mastiff again, and I think it has lost drive on that left side, but it's also activated the pit in doing so.
Now, of course, if you can only turn on one side, then that doesn't count as mobility. They could be getting counted out very soon, or Chaos 2 could put them in the pit, save Refbot a job!
Oh.
Well, he's going to be saved of another job, because Chaos 2, the two-time UK champion, has driven straight into the pit!
I do not believe the thought process there as Mastiff joins it in the pit. What was Chaos 2 thinking? It's just undescribable, that. And I think Manta here has got a free pass because it's already done the damage to Ansgar, our German hopes, in the opening period of this fight. As it now rests against
the skirts of Ansgar bent upwards. Those are supposed to keep it tied to the floor and stop other robots from getting underneath it, but they're burning over the flame pit. I don't think Ansgar will be recovering from this.
An utterly bizarre opening 30 seconds has left Manta as the only one standing already. There is the count complete. And the fight itself too.
And so Ansgar could not become a world champion. Manta won that battle, but we will find a German champion, starting off with Black Hole and Hydrotech.
Now, time for round 2. Hydrotech is out first. A pitting in the first round is a positive start for it. But now it's against Black Hole, which should prove a harder opponent than Delldog. Very interesting fight on our hands here. So, the Hydrotech team again for the Swiss. And the Black Hole boys hoping to make Swiss cheese. Mr. Psycho, I think he could make more than that. And Shunt, eager and ready for fighting.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Can Hydrotech do it for Switzerland, or will Black Hole be carrying the German hopes into the grand final? Right away, Hydrotech getting underneath, but Black Hole finds the rear of Hydrotech.
Yeah, really good, swift mobility there from Black Hole, and Hydrotech waving the flag for the Swiss in general, and its weapon, its lifting weapon was up, its hammer is hanging back. Wonder if it has some issues here. It certainly will when it takes damage to the lifter, and again, this is not a promising start for Hydrotech.
And I don't think those lifting weapons will be able to find their way under Black Hole's very small ground clearance with the weaponry bent like that. They're going to have to rely on their hammer, which is at the rear of the robot, comparatively unprotected. The Swiss hopes are waning here.
Yeah, Black Hole has just been a consistent presence ever since that first attack, and it's getting at the sides again. Hydrotech flailing with its hammer. It's just desperately trying to do something, but what can it do? It's taking damage, it's not moving now either, and Black Hole attacks the back. Is that it for Hydrotech, I wonder?
Yeah, I think we're going to need to get the ref bot to have a look at this. Hydrotech is just taking more punishment. Black Hole doesn't know that it needs to stop, it doesn't know the battle's already done, because Hydrotech technically still in this, but maybe that's about to come to a close right about now.
Yeah, well, Hydrotech missed its only real chance. It got underneath Black Hole temporarily, didn't manage to take advantage, and from there it was an absolutely devastating job by Black Hole. Very impressive. And Hydrotech is not a bad machine, but that was something else from its opponent, Black Hole.
And of course, Black Hole will be joining Son of Armageddon and Tyke in the grand final, where I think they have a real shot. There's still one more robot to join them, but for now, let's enjoy a little bit more damage from Mr. Psycho onto the beaten Hydrotech.
Talking about a real shot, here's a free shot of Psycho's hammer! And down it comes, and the crowd loving that, as if Hydrotech needed more punishment. But not just the hammer. I think we're going to see... Oh, okay, there is another hammer shot! I was preparing for the floor flipper there, but why should I ever doubt our house robots? They wanted more, they got more, and now it will be the floor flipper after all.
They seem to have cut quite a lot of holes out of Hydrotech to save weight, keeping in with the Swiss cheese theme, of course. Didn't fly very far, it's such a huge machine, 100 kilograms in weight. You're never going to shift that very far.
No. Shunt. Interesting way to release the pit bumper.
Yeah, I think one touch is enough, mate. You don't need to do it again. But an absolutely shambolic looking Hydrotech just getting shoved into the pit, and followed by an axe blow as well. And Shunt has fallen in with it!
Well, that's one way for Hydrotech to take the moral victory, hey? Oh dear, Shunt. Way!
Will be interesting to see if we can repair that machine in time for the 5th place playoff we're looking to air during the grand final. I don't know if they'll be there. Black Hole, though, they're through. And Hydrotech out of the picture. Not a bad machine, but Black Hole clearly superior. Next up, Tsunami and Not Perfect. And here we get to see just a little bit of repairs taking place on Hydrotech as well. As we mentioned during the battle, there is a 5th place playoff that they will want to be taking part in, joined by the likes of Golem and Junkyard Queen, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Well, here we go again for that final spot in the grand final. Tsunami out first, looking lively. And, well, an inverted Not Perfect. Interesting.
Roboteers, stand by.
Wonder if Team Tsunami will be intrigued by that tactic. There on the left. And the Cutler family on the right. Brian at the controls. And Dead Metal in the arena. Looking to slice. And Mr. Psycho looking to smash everything.
3, 2, 1.
One place left in the grand final. Who's it going to be? Tsunami or Not Perfect, who's already been overturned by the flipper of Tsunami?
Yes, though it would be funny to argue that that's helped it, because it started inverted, did Not Perfect.
Yeah, you wonder what the plan was there. Were they trying to bring the lawnmower blade onto the top of Tsunami, or did they just not have confidence in their wedge? Why would they want to enter the arena upside down? I don't know.
Yes, well, the size comparison is rather comical here. Tsunami not having any trouble, though, flipping this bulky thing.
And they'll certainly have no trouble getting underneath now that the front wedge of Not Perfect has been removed by one of the earlier attacks. That's going to make Tsunami's job a lot easier as Not Perfect gets lifted up once again.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why they started inverted. They knew their machine was brittle, so they just gave up hope already.
We don't want to rule out the chances of Not Perfect making the grand final, of course. Whether they make the final or not, I'm sure they'll be interested in the 5th place playoff. Tsunami is going to be going in on a drive, lifting Not Perfect up, which is just struggling for a bit of an answer, really, with their wedge upside down.
Yes, Tsunami itself is rather slowed down in this fight in terms of the ferocity of its attacks, but if this goes all the way to a judge's decision, Not Perfect really needs to do something miraculous now, as the pit bumper is pushed.
At the very least, we haven't seen Not Perfect go all the way over since the last complete flip. It's such a gigantic machine, even the likes of Chaos 2 would probably struggle to get it over.
Yes, well, Tsunami will be hoping not to replicate what we saw earlier from the English machine going into the pit after seemingly having the battle wrapped up already. And it's edging Not Perfect here towards and now in to the CPZ. Back over and Dead Metal coming in and with a really long aggressive drive there. Goodness.
Not Perfect, very fortunate not to end up in the pit as a result, but they're going to drive away straight onto Tsunami's wedge, of course.
Yep, propped up again and back down again. Look at the battered front of Not Perfect, trying to get its wedge back on. I don't think you will be able to do that, I'm afraid.
I mean, at this point, what do you even think that Not Perfect could do? They just need to drive Tsunami into a CPZ and hope the house robots can finish the job or something. Well, a nice reversing attack might bring them some progress.
Well, yes, at least the back is flat and able to push, and it is coming in with another good reverse here over the flame pit. Tsunami's still okay to move away from there.
Can you set a tidal wave on fire?
Not Perfect, we'll be hoping that's the case. Not sure it is though, unfortunately.
But it's gonna go to the decision of the judges for the final position in the grand final. Tsunami or Not Perfect? So here we go, that was the opening attack from Tsunami, bending the front wedge of Not Perfect and turning it right side up, only to flip it back again. You can see the lawnmower blade turning on the front of Not Perfect, but it had no real bearing on this battle. There was a good comeback from Not Perfect, but I really think there's only one way this could go. Let's see if the judges agree with that, eh?
Das war sehr, sehr spannend und die Jury hat soeben entschieden, das Team Tsunami hat gewonnen. Das ist auf jeden Fall für euch. Tsunami sehen wir auf jeden Fall das nächste Mal im ganz großen Finale. Ich freue mich, ich hoffe, ihr seid dann auch mit dabei. Und eins nicht vergessen, the robot is your friend. Vielen Dank, bis bald.
So that concludes Heat B, and now we have our 4 grand finalists, which we'll be seeing in the next episode. The first of those, of course, is Son of Armageddon, a very well-controlled flipper, but they'll be worried that Tsunami might be outstaging them. Black Hole, of course, with the destructive spinning discs at the front, easily the most damaging robot here in the grand final, and could be a real force to watch. Hydrotec there getting absolutely destroyed, and they were a perfectly respectable robot anyway. Tyke, somewhat the lucky package in the grand final, but you never know, they could spring a surprise. That wedge-shaped robot has made it this far, and it's a grand finalist just like the rest. And Tsunami, the last robot to join the pack. That flipper has taken them to 2 consecutive victories. Absolut Krankhaft going over and Not Perfect losing the judges' decision. But how will they fare in the high stakes of the grand final? Only time will tell.